It is night in Hyranic, and a battered party of adventurers makes their way back to the witch's cottage, licking their wounds and wondering, if a god can kill another god, then what are we doing? Hello, and welcome back. It is Sphere Hoppers. I am your host and storyteller, Royce Rosewood. We are playing through our Mishmash campaign. We've got elements from Troika. We've got elements from Gozer. We've got Between the Skies. We've got Apothecaria. We've been using the Lore Masters deck. We've just got elements from everywhere, and it's all been mixing together. Pointage summoned the Devourer. It was defeated by the Stag in combat. Alalix came out of hiding to try to ambush the Stag, but was also defeated. And that's where we're at. So, like I said, they all head back to the cottage. They need to kind of like heal up, regroup, and figure out what they want to do next. So that's the plan. And we will roll our Die of Fate to see if anything changes that. 11. No. So they've carried Alalix back. You know, she's pretty wounded. But between Pointage's healing expertise and Alalix, and Kristen, for that matter, has a little bit of herbalism. And we're going to rest for the night and heal everybody up as much as we can. So I think we'll do the normal 2d6 healing, and then they'll get an extra d6 of healing from the expertise of the others. All right, everyone is healed back up to full except for Dragog, who rolled very poorly and is still only at 9 stamina. So he's in a bad spot. Pointage helps patch up Alalix, and she says, "Thanks so much. You know, I'm sorry we haven't been able to meet until now. There was just never a right time, and honestly, I wasn't sure if you would choose to be on my side. Really, I just wanted just someone to take over my job, but I've gained an ally as well." Pointage says, "I'm sorry that it failed. It all failed." And Alalix says, "Don't worry about that. I've been trying to get the Stag for years. Everything went according to plan. That was the plan, to summon the Devourer, to weaken and distract the Stag so that I could ambush it. But it didn't work. So, just have to figure out something else." And Pointage says, "I've been thinking about that. What is going to happen if the Stag proceeds unencumbered?" And Alalix says, "Well, I mean, he's been trying to get rid of magic, right? If he had his way, he would ban all use of magic by humans and the other settling creatures in Hyranic. He's been trying to get rid of me for a while." And Pointage says, "Well, I don't know about this, but I've discovered that the Artificer is in league with the Templeshaker, and they are working on a machine that they've hidden in Heroes Hollow, and it is called the Blade of the Templeshaker. And I assume that the Templeshaker, being one who tries to shake the temples of the gods, right, a god opposed to other gods, that this blade could do serious damage against another god. While we may not like it, it may be time to approach the Artificer and see if we might be able to work out some sort of cooperation." And Alalix says, "I don't know. The Artificer's been building a lot of machines, trying to industrialize Hyranic. He's got his automatons running all over the place, building those conveyor belts all around the lake. So ugly. But it does sound like something that we might have to try." Now, in the meantime, it's occurred to me that Kristen doesn't have any fighting skills. And I think we need to resolve this? I mean, he's got a frying pan. I wonder if he can kind of practice tonight. Maybe a Lalix can show him some things. He can learn something called pan fighting. I'll give him a point of pan fighting. He still won't be very good, but at least he'll have something. Kristen trains with a Lalix that night. He's already got a lot of cool moves. Now he's just turning those moves into, hitting people instead of, cooking in a fancy way. Suvara, I think, is having a hard time. She felt after slaying one of the albatrosses that she was now forbidden from possessing the badge of the Stag, and her goal is to try to collect. I mean, she was trying to collect all the badges, and now she's banned from getting this badge of the Stag, and so she's trying to rethink and reformulate what does that mean, and when gods are opposed against each other, do I take a side? I've never really taken a side. I just sort of help any god I come across. So she's kind of thinking about that, processing that. She's looking over her badge sass, remembering every badge that she's acquired, and what is she going to do now? All right, so we'll move on to the next day, and they're going to go ahead and try to do this plan to try to seek out the Artificer, this blade of the Templeshaker, and see if they might be able to use that to stop or kill the Stag. New scene, so we roll our die of fate. See if anything happens. 7. Nope. Pointage knows where it was hidden, leads the team through, the winding of Heroes Hollow, the caves and the dungeons there, and finds the machine. I assume that there are some automatons here. Is the Artificer here? We'll call it 50-50. 95. Absolutely not. So Pointage goes up to one of the automatons and says, "We wish to speak with you or to your master about a possible alliance." The automaton says, "Processing. No. The Artificer is not available to speak with you. Keep working on your commissions. Good luck in our wager." Well, that's kind of a dead end. Is there any way that they could maybe just use or borrow this blade of the Templeshaker? Is it even finished? I have no idea what sort of state it is in. We'll call it 50-50. 94. Absolutely not. So maybe they need some kind of other component. Oh, Is the component that they need the Orb of Reoria? Because that would complicate things. I'm going to call that... I'm going to call that nearly certain, because that seems really cool to me. 79, yes. So they're looking and they see that there's this slot for this orb, and it's exactly the same size. This blade of the Templeshaker needs, a power source or an activation crystal. Or Pointage says, "Looks like you need something to power it." Pointage has brought his Orb of Reoria, pulls it out, and says, "Would something like this work?" And Dragog is like, "No, hey, look, we gotta we gotta talk about this. These things are really precious. We can't let them fall into the wrong hands." And Pointage says, "Well, where are we at? If we let the Stag run rampant, it's gonna strip magic from the hands of the humans. I've seen how magic helps people. I want to keep helping people. I can't let the Stag take that away from me." The automatons look at this, and I feel like this maybe changes the calculus of, is the Artificer available? I think this is a pretty significant thing. So does the Artificer become available now that there's this new bargaining chip? We'll call it very likely. 57, yes. So the automatons look and say, "Very interesting. Yes, the Artificer schedule has cleared up suddenly. They will speak with you." So we don't know who the Artificer is. Their identity has remained anonymous. But I've been thinking about, who could they be that would be interesting, would complicate things. I've looked at, all the characters that we've encountered in Hyranic, and I've looked back characters that we've encountered earlier in the campaign. There's really only one answer that I feel is the most interesting for the identity of the artificer. So a secret door opens up in the cave, and this tall, lengthy, robed lich emerges. And Luigi Pelt says, "Oh, I've seen some of you before." Yes, it's Luigi Pelt, the archivist lich from the Stygian library. When the party last encountered him, he tried to take their orb of Aurea, and now there are 2 orbs here in his reach. He looks over and says, "Yes, 2 orbs. Right under my nose here on my homeworld of Ashwati. How could I have missed it? And you're willing to give one of them to me. Is that so?" Pointed says, "Well, I don't know if I want to give it to you, but I'm willing to let it power your machine if we can use this machine against the Stag." Luigi Pelt says, "Interesting. A bargain. But you must know this. I seek too the orbs of Aurea. I wish to access the sphere of the gods for my own purposes." This just got a little complicated. Luigi Pelt wants the orbs, of course, to go access the sphere of the gods. I believe Luigi Pelt wants to enthrall a god. Dragog wants them too, for different reasons, for scholarly reasons. But in the meantime, Luigi Pelt also needs an orb to power his machine. And without one of these orbs, his machine won't work. The party has 2 orbs. I mean, it's really hard to see any other scenario other than Luigi Pelt just tries to take the orbs by force. I don't know if they have really anything else to bargain with. We can try, though. Pointed says, "Listen, I know you've challenged me to this competition to create commissions. I will happily forfeit this competition. I will support you and your enterprise if you will let us use your machine but keep the orb afterwards." Luigi Pelt says, "Yes, well, the competition was really more of a distraction. No, I think I want to just take your orbs from you. You're in my lair. Automatons, seize them." All right, so I still have this character sheet from when I thought Luigi Pelt was going to join the party all those episodes ago. He has a lot of stamina. It's hard to kill. How many automatons are here in the lair? 2d6? 5? Okay. I'll roll up some stats for them. Here are the automatons. They have a skill of 8, which is a little bit scary. They have an armor of 3, so they're hard to hit, but they only have a stamina of 7. So if you are able to hit them, it's only going to take a couple hits to take one of them out. So they are tough, but fragile, if that makes sense. They have an initiative of 2. They do damage as small beast. The big problem here is Luigi Pelt. I still have these cards from when I thought Luigi Pelt was going to be a player character, so I'm going to use these in addition to the enemy cards to give Luigi Pelt a separate turn from the automatons. And then finally, Alalix is here too, so I'll need cards for her, and we'll come up with some stats for Alalix real quick too. We're in sort of a small cave-like dungeon room. The blade of the Templeshaker is in the center. How large is it? Could somebody pick it up and grab it? I don't know. 71. No. So maybe it would take 2 people to lift and move. The heroes are all on one side. That's Dragog, Suvara, Kristen, Zamzes, Pointage, and Alalix. And then Luigi Pelt is on the other side with the 5 automatons. So it's sort of 2 pathways around the blade for people to come in contact with each other. All right. here we go. Luigi Pelt is trying to seize the orbs. The party, I think, is trying to seize the blade and get out with the blade and the orbs. So who's up first? It's an enemy. So who are they going for? We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is a Lalix. Okay, 1, Dragog. It's not great because he's not doing very good. He's going to be defending with his Astrolabe, so he's got 8 against the skill of 8, so it's just an even match. And that's a tie, so Dragog will test his luck, try to roll under 8 to try to break this tie. Great. So Dragog gets the first hit. He's going to roll his Astrolabe. Oh, which I'm forgetting ignores a point of armor, so that's helpful. 2, so he does 4 damage. One of the automatons comes around and Dragog is able to swing with his Astrolabe and smash it and scatter circuitry and there's wires and it's pretty messed up. It only needs like maybe another hit and it'll go down. Who's up next? Another enemy. Roll again for another one to move. Oh, go after Dragog again. They must sense that he's a little bit weak. So we'll just have that same one attack again then. Even match, and this time the automaton gets the hit. Dealing 3 damage, taking Dragog down to 6. I guess they're just kind of punching. I don't think Luigi Pelt built these for combat. He built them to work. They're just sort of punching on Dragog, and he didn't really recover last night, and he's looking bad. Suvara sees that Dragog's in trouble and rushes up to help. She's got sword fighting at 7, so the automaton will have a +1 in this matchup. But she still gets the hit. All right, minimum damage of 4, which is enough to take out one of the automatons. So she comes up, she slices with her sword, she just cuts it down. She says, "I won't let them hurt you." All right, another enemy goes after 4 Zamzes. Zamzes will defend with his strength, giving the automaton a +1 in this particular matchup. All right, the automaton gets the hit on Zamzes and deals 3 damage. Just kind of comes up, gives him a punch. Zamzes like, "You'll have to try harder than that." All right. Oh, it's the end of the round. So that just means we shuffle everything back in. All right. Kristen's up. Excited to try his new pan fighting skill. So he's at 5 against an 8. So the automaton will get a +3 on this one. So it's not looking great, but there's always a chance. Nope. The automaton gets the hit and deals 4 damage to Kristen. I don't know how a tiny bird wields a frying pan. You'll just have to use your imagination. But he's coming up trying to swing at one of these automatons who just knocks him to the side. Oh, he takes a hit. Luigi Pelt is up. Okay. Luigi Pelt has all sorts of crazy spells. He's going to attempt to cast Mirror Images, so he needs to roll under 8. All right, that's a 6. So suddenly there are multiple Luigi Pelts in this room. No one can tell which one is the real one. It's gotten very confusing. All right, Dragog is going to go for another automaton. Oh, and hits because the automaton got a fumble, which means that Dragog gets +1 to his damage roll. 1, so he does 4 damage to another automaton. Really comes out and just smashing him. Dragog again, feeling emboldened. Yeah. I was able to strike again. Oh, but only does the minimum damage this time. So it doesn't quite take this one out. Just smashing on it. It's looking really scattered and wired. So a Lalix. And we're going to test our fate chart because we don't really know that much about Alalix, and I didn't roll like a full thing. But it seems very likely to me that as a witch of power and age, that she has some sort of Lich Bane spell that she can cast to slow down or stop or hold the Leech Pelt. So we'll call that very likely. Is that the case? 53, yes. We're just going to randomly say that costs 5 stamina, and she'll have to test her witchery at 9. This has never happened before. In all of my Troika campaign, in all of this campaign where we're using Troika rules, if you fumble a spell roll, in this case, double 6s, you have to roll on the oops table. And any sort of weird and wacky and totally horrible things might happen. I think maybe Alalix is confused by all the different Leech Pelts in the room, and she's still kind of recovering from her encounter with the stag, and is maybe just like not totally on her witchy focus, but at any rate, something really bad is going to happen. All right, 13. A shoal of herring and the water they previously swam in appear above the wizard, soaking everyone. So now this cave room is now flooding with water, and now there's like fish everywhere filling this room. Oh my God. I feel like that would short circuit the automatons. The water should at least damage them, right? We'll call that very likely. Oh, 98. Absolutely not. The Leech Pellet has fit out all the automatons with water repellent, so they're okay. But the room is still full of fish. God. An enemy. Who's this enemy going after? Kristen. That'll be a hit on Kristen. That'll be 3 damage. So Kristen takes another hit, down to 14. Right. Zamzes is up. Zamzes is going to try to blast the one that hit him with his I-beam. Oh, mighty blow. Very nice job, Zamzes. Double damage. There we go. Rolling 4. So even doubled, that's still only 6 damage, but we'll take it. He just lets his I-beams go and blasts a hole right through the center of this automaton who's still functioning. All right, Zamzes again. Sure, why not? Zaps again. Another mighty blow. Zamzes is doing awesome. All right, so I think pretty much no matter what he rolls, yeah. Oh, max damage. So he just uses his I-beams, blasts again, and just totally evaporates. So there are now only 3 automatons remaining in the room. All right. Suvara's up. Oh, but misses. Automaton gets a hit on her. 6 minus her armor. She only takes 3 damage. Not to 18. So one of them just kind of comes and bangs down on her helmet, and she shakes. And also everybody is also still wading through all this fish, remember? Like, Pointage. Pointage is going to take his hammer and swing at one of the damaged automatons. All right. He's got a hammer fighting at 7, so the automaton gets a +1 in this combat. So the automaton actually gets the hit. And Pointage will take 2 damage. He's swinging his hammer, but the automaton's able to hit him away. All right. Alalix. Okay, feeling a little bit sheepish after that fish incident. She's still going to try her Lich Bane spell. Cost her another 5. Roll under 9. 7. Okay, great. She gets her head back on, and she, pulls out all these herbs and throws them together and creates this, swirling vortex of magic energy, and it shoots out through all the illusory images of Luigi Pelt and binds onto one and holds him at the wall. So he can't move or do anything for the moment. Hi friends, just a quick recap of the rest of this battle. The party continues to slog their way through the room full of fish, fighting automatons. Krishnan gets down pretty low hit points. Dragad gets down pretty low hit points, but they get to the point where there's just one automaton left, and we'll pick it up there. At this point, Suvara, Zamzes, Pointage, and Alalix are still up. Luigi Pelt's being held, and there's only one partially damaged automaton. So I'm going to go ahead and call this. They are able to take out the automaton, and even in this room full of fish, grab the blade and get it out. Now, Luigi Pelt isn't going to be held there forever, but at least long enough for them to pull the blade out through this sea of fish. All right. So they are quite banged up. I don't think they want to go confront the stag immediately. I guess how I'm going to resolve this, I'm going to roll the die of fate. And if we get a nothing, then we're able to go home and rest. A 9. Okay. So we're able to go home and rest. We'll do just what we did before. All right, we've healed up. No one is fully healed except for Pointage and Alalix, who didn't take any damage. Everyone else still has a few hits, but we're looking pretty good. So they carry the blade of the Templeshaker, this big machine with this, I assume, sort of like pneumatic blade that pokes out. They go, and they take it back to the witch's cottage, they recoup, and they make their plan. And I think their plan is they're going to go back to where I think the corpse of the Devourer is still outside the Hero's Hollow, right? So they're going to go back there, they're going to try to do the ritual again as if they're trying to revive it, to try to lure the stag back out, but then they'll have this blade kind of hidden and powered by this orb. As they're talking, Alalix says, "We have other allies here, so I'm going to go get them in on the fight as well." All right. So we've got our list of people that we've met. I'm going to roll twice to see who our secret allies have been this time. 2, Zavina, the bold duck pilot. Okay. So she's on our side. And 13, Thorada, the secretive demon. It's also on our side. Great. So it's the next day. Alalix has contacted Zavina and Thorada. So this demon appears with the statue that Pointage made out of the Shadow Stone, all these different little islands, but now they're all floating around the demon, who says, "Surprise!" And Zavina says, "All right. You need a pilot? Oh, no, you need a fighter? All right, count me in." So they all go out, and they've got this huge party, but I think also the stag has secret allies. He's starting this ritual, the corpse of the Devourer, starting to decay in the sun. And they're setting up this other ritual, and, the rainbow bridge comes down, and the stag comes down. Who's on the side of the stag? And then the speaker is there, and the giant. There's maybe a couple more albatrosses. There's some fey creatures that sort of sprinkle around, and they have a secret ally too. Let's see who in the village is on their side. Oh, 18, that's nobody. So maybe we'll just interpret that to mean there's nobody else. That's the scene set up. We'll roll our die of fate. Anything come to bear on this? 4. Our location table. Let's see what we get here. I'll roll a d10, and if we get one of the blank spots here, we'll get to pick, maybe? 7. Okay, we get to pick. Okay. I know what we're going to do. We're going to connect to one of our other locations. This battle is coming to a head. The stag comes down and says, I have to commend you for your persistence, if nothing else, but I cannot allow you to keep doing magic. Pointed says, well, How about machines? How likely is it that the blade been hidden and is able to shoot out and stab the stag? We're going to call that very likely. 20. Yes. So shooting out from this place that's been hidden, this mechanical blade powered by this orb of Aurea shoots out and just stabs through the side of the stag, who slumps over. All his followers gasp. The blood from the stag seeps over through the grass and like glows and, starts to light up on the devourer, and the devourer heals itself and then comes back around and, goes, there's this giant worm. And everyone's like, whoa, what is this? And the dragon comes down from the mountain, flies down and says, this is the cycle of things, life and death, each taking their time in the cycle. The stag ascendant and now the devourer ascendant. Just as the stars and constellations turn in the sky, the cycle begins once again. There are no sides. The cycle continues. And everyone thinks this is pretty great. They're all kind of like, oh, okay, whoa, this is kind of weird. We were going to fight, but okay, we didn't know we were sort of enacting this sort of cyclical ritual. The party all kind of looks at themselves. And, Dragog says, well, Pointage, well, we helped you out. What do you think about this orb? But before Pointage can answer, I'm going to choose one of the locations on our expected location table, and that is the Crucible. For those of you who don't know, the Crucible is the setting of the Keyforge campaign. It's at the center of the universe, and it is an artificial patchwork world assembled by the architects. They take pieces from other worlds and smash them together into this place where no one can escape. The world starts to rumble and shake, and they feel like this teleporting energy, and the village of Hyranic and all the gods and people who were there that were assembled for, this combat are smashed down into this patchwork world where new adventures await. So thanks so much for following along. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and share. I will talk more about this in the next video, but this is the end of part 1 of Sphere Hoppers, and I'll talk about what's coming next. I guess next time, based on the dice, we're going into the Crucible. So the mashup continues. Thanks so much for following along. This is Science Fantasy Awesome, and you are awesome.